Hi, welcome to Mind and Body Wellness, a TV show where we talk about the health of your mind, body, and spirit, where we interview a variety of guests from the mainstream to the alternative. I'm your host, Clovis Colley, and today with me, I have my guest, Trish Cody. How are you, Trish?
I'm doing great, Clovis. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Tell me about yourself. I thought we were talking before the show, and I thought you're a life coach, but you don't bill yourself as a life coach. You put it in different terms.
Yes, yeah. And, you know, it can impact your life, what I do, but I call myself a core energy coach because what I do is I work with people down in their core of the energy that they're putting out there to the universe and the energy that they're bringing back and how they can learn to recognize that and shift it.
Okay. When you say energy, what does that mean?
Well, it means really everything that's around us. Everything in the world is made up of energy. Everything around us and in us is all energy. And people like to have an idea that we can either create more energy or we can lose energy. We say things like, oh, I feel really energetic after this workout, or oh my gosh, I have no energy today. But the fact of the matter really is that we cannot create more energy or take away energy. Energy is just there in the amount that it's there in. So when we feel more energetic, it's because we were shifting our energetic vibration to a more positive place. When we feel drained, it's because our energetic vibration has moved to a negative place.
I see. And is that because we think about, maybe we spent half a day thinking about bad things happening to us, not entertaining the things that we want to have happen, but maybe we're inside imagining bad stuff happening to us or things not turning out well. Is that being negative?
Well, that can certainly shift your energy to a more negative place. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get started in this being an energy coach?
A core energy coach. Well, I started out wanting to be an executive coach because that's what I knew. We all know there are executive coaches, sports coaches, and life coaches, right?
Right.
So I thought, okay, I need to pick one of those. The more and more that I learned about the different types of coaching that's out there, and frankly, the more and more I learned about how the universe works and how we can actually craft our experience within that universe, I stumbled across a school called IPEC. And this is what they teach, is core energy coaching. And I think I found my place when I found them because it was telling me and helping me learn about all of the things that were just really, really resonating with me. So that's how I got to this place of becoming a core energy master practitioner.
Okay. Well, we have a really good idea of why we need basketball coaches, football coaches, tennis coaches. That's pretty obvious. I don't know that this coaching business showed up until maybe in the 90s or late 80s. What happened where we decided that we needed coaching in our personal lives, in our business lives, in our professional lives? How did that come about?
Well, I think a few different things kind of converged to make that something that became more mainstream. Executives have been using coaches for years and years and years. And you probably heard people like Jack Welch and other people say that every good executive has a good coach. It's been a tool that they've utilized to help create their own success for just tens and tens of years. This has been going on. It hasn't really been mainstream, like with you and me and the general public. We relied on our friends. And we relied on our friends to help us through our problems and to, kind of give us advice. But people saw kind of what this was doing in the executive world and how it was really helping them break through some barriers, break through some limiting beliefs that were holding them back. And I also believe that as a society, we are just simply moving to a higher level of consciousness. We've had several revolutions over the past history of our existence, and we've had the Industrial Revolution, and then we had kind of the economy revolution, and the thought evolution came in. And what we're seeing now is all across the globe, not just here in the United States, but all across the globe, we're seeing people just looking for more consciousness, more awareness, higher levels of happiness, and we're looking more for those things to come from within rather than looking for external things. We tried that with the SUVs and the big houses and everything, and it didn't really work out. And so now we have to look in a new place, and more people are realizing that this can really be something that they can generate from within rather than looking for something externally to fulfill it.
Right, right. I think we used to, maybe 40 years ago, rely on our ministers and our pastors.
There you
and
go, that or your therapist or your,
Yeah, is it because do people need life coaches because they can't see their own blind spots? I mean, that would be the obvious thing to me, that, sometimes we can't see our own behavior. Is that the justification for having a life coach or a personal coach or an core energy coach?
Well, there are several reasons one might engage a coach. That's definitely one of them. If you're just curious to find out, what is your stuff that you don't even know about that could be going on with you, a coach could help you explore that. Usually it's because we either have some big dream that we want to achieve or something that we're reaching towards, and for whatever reason, we just keep holding ourselves back from it. Hey, I want to be the host of a television show, but yeah. And I've had that dream for 5 years and I've never done anything with it. A coach can help you figure out why and help remove some of those barriers and those limiting beliefs. Sometimes we find ourselves just in a stuck place. Let's say we got fired from our job, or we're going through a divorce or something like that, and we really are just completely at a loss what the next step is. And we just can't figure it out. And the more and more that we can't figure that out, the more and more we start to spiral into this place of negativity, the more and more we feel like nothing good is ever going to happen for us. Those are the types of things that working with a coach can really help you clear away all that fog and draw out from inside of you what is it that's really going on there, and what is it that you truly desire that for whatever reason you may not feel is something that you have the ability to achieve or that you deserve.
Good, good. Now, what kind of results do you get with people that seek out core energy coaching?
Well, if somebody comes into core energy coaching and they really are committed to making a change and they're willing to do the work and they're all in, we see amazing results. We see people who are able to finally, get off their butts and go do those things that they've been wanting to do for years. We find people that are able now to, say, navigate through their divorce and not have it absolutely destroy them, even allow them to kind of create their new version of themselves 2.0 through the process. And we do see people, I've had clients before who have come and said, yeah, I really want to do this, but for whatever reason, don't follow through or just aren't, willing to put in the actual effort. Those folks really don't see a lot of results from it, and that's fine. What that says to me is that it really wasn't the right time for them to engage. But for those that engage, the results can be life-altering.
Right. We talked a little bit about self-sabotage. Mm-hmm. Do people, sometimes I see people with traps in their own behavior. As soon as they achieve a little success, some bizarre thing comes in and just wipes it all out. And I see them do it over and over and over again. What's going on there for people?
That's one of those big blind spots that you were talking about before, where there are things that either, for example, we could talk about lottery winners, right? 80%, 85% actually of all big end, we're not talking I won, $20 off the scratch-off ticket, but people who win high-end returns, 85% or more of those end up within 1 year not only broke, but actually worse off and in a worse hole of debt than they were before they started. And a lot of this is not because we go, well, all you have to do is learn how to manage your money, don't spend it, silly. But a lot of this is because those people, they just never saw themselves as a person who has wealth. They never saw themselves as this person who is able to manage money. We say things to ourselves all the time without thinking. For example, I'm just not good at cooking, or I'm just not good at managing money. Well, as long as that's your prevailing thought about who you are deep down, then you're going to have a hard time cooking, and you're going to have a hard time learning to manage money.
Right. Well, from my perspective, you're hitting the nail right on the head. Mm-hmm. I know in my hypnosis business, people will have a set point for things. If they have an identity that they're a smoker, it's very hard to break that habit. So I help them change the identity to being a non-smoker. But some of the financial gurus talk about it. You have a financial set point. If you see yourself as a $50,000 person, you might make 56 1 year or even 100, but you won't do it on a consistent basis. And it's very hard. So these things internally, I really get the grasp of what you're saying. This internal landscape can really affect our behavior. What kind of results have you gotten with people as far as maybe say somebody wanted to get a better job or increase their salary. Working with them from this aspect, is that something that can be easily achieved in 3 to 6 months, or?
The mindset shift can be easily achieved in 3 to 6 months. Now, whether they go out there, let's say I want to start my own business and build it, whether they go out there and do that in 3 to 6 months, that's a longer process. Can somebody decide that they absolutely are a person who deserves to be the director of technology and not just, a manager of the call center? Can they go out and make that happen? Absolutely. If they have the skills already available, they don't have to go back to school for it, which could take more time, of course. But yeah, there's no reason why not. We can achieve what it is that we not only set our minds to, but that we feel that we're worthy of and that we deserve. And I love your set point analogy because that's absolutely true, not just with your wealth or with your career or the example that you gave with smoking, but we all kind of have a set point of the level of happiness that we feel that we're going to be able to achieve, the level of success that we're going to be able to achieve. And it's an internal setting that we're not even necessarily aware of. It's something that has been developed over time based on what people have told us we're capable of, what we've seen other people who are close to us be capable of. So it's all this information that we pick up and we go, right, okay, this is my spot then, right here. And it kind of works like a thermostat. So let's say in your house you have one of those programmable thermostats, right? Mm-hmm. So if you set that thermostat to 72 degrees, and it starts getting hotter than 72 degrees, that air is going to automatically kick in and bring it back down. Vice versa, if it gets colder, it's going to kick it up and bring it down, back up. When we think about a set point of wealth, it works in that same sort of way. So when you start getting more and more money, your internal subconscious and your systems go, oh, no, this is not where we belong. This is where we belong. And it happens so automatic because it happens outside of our consciousness.
That's happened to me a couple times.
It's happened to me a couple times. But when was the last time your automatic thermostat said, okay, just wait a minute, are you sure? Just before I kick it back to 72, are you sure that's where you want it to be? And gave you the opportunity to reset it.
They're going to start building those pretty soon, aren't they?
Right now they don't have them. And likewise, our subconscious doesn't go, oh, hey, wait a minute, are you still sure this is what you want, where you want to be? It's been programmed by you over many, many years of your life. No, 72 is where I want to be. So a lot of the work that I do when I talk about shifting mindsets and learning how to use energy is about taking that dial and moving it to where you want it to be.
I see. Now, we talked a little bit, you mentioned deservability. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody doesn't think that they, kind of on the inside, if they don't think that they deserve something, will they be able to exceed what maybe they don't deserve happiness, maybe they don't deserve to be loved, maybe they don't deserve financial success. Mm-hmm. My assumption would be that it would be very hard to achieve those things if you have that internal thought going on.
It's not that it's necessarily just hard to achieve them, they're never going to allow themselves to have it. So they'll have it in brief periods. They'll find a new love, they'll have the honeymoon phase, oh my gosh, everything's so great. That will not be sustainable if at some point they don't work on this, I don't deserve love. Unless they have a really, really understanding partner who is willing to just make it all about them all the time, which isn't always the case. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't only make it really, really difficult to finally achieve those things, that's where that self-sabotage that you brought up comes in, where you actually keep yourself from having it.
Who do you like to work with? Who's your favorite client, type of client?
Oh gosh, that's hard to answer. I have so many neat people that I've worked with. That's really hard to answer. But I think, one of the things that's most fun for me is working for people who are just at a place where they are so utterly and completely lost that they can't even figure out what the next step is. And as you know, probably from all of the work and education that you have, that sort of thing snowballs. So it might have started with I lost my job. But now all this negativity is going out there into the universe, and we know that whatever it is that you focus on, the universe brings that back to you in spades, right?
Right.
Whatever
sure.
it is you're...
When it rains, it pours.
Well, it's whatever it is you're thinking about, the universe goes, right, okay, that's what he wants, and it works double time to bring you more of it. So that's why all of that spirals, where you find people who they lose their job, and then next thing you know, the brakes go out on their truck, and then next thing you know, the dishwasher breaks, and then next thing you know, their sister has an accident and broke her leg, and and it just seems to keep on rolling. That's why. And it can get to a point where people feel absolutely and utterly lost and incapable to impact it at all. They feel like all of a sudden they are at the effect of everything, and they have no control. Those are some of the most fun, I guess.
It's
folks
not a
to work
comfortable.
with.
It's not a comfortable place
It's
to be.
an icky, awful place to be. But it doesn't have to be where you are, and it also doesn't have to last very long. It's definitely something that can be worked through by learning how to shift how you think about yourself. And once you can do that, then great things start happening. And for me, that's when the fun starts, is when they finally go, ooh, I get it, and they make that shift. And then next thing you know, they're out there interviewing for jobs, and they're out there, doing this, and stuff is starting to happen for them, and they just, they're like, I never even believed this was possible.
So you can get it to cascade in the other direction.
Absolutely, it works. It's 100% predictable in both ways.
Nice. Describe the process to us a little bit. How do you change that thermostat?
Well, we start with understanding somebody will present with some sort of a problem or an issue that they're trying to work through. I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but whatever it is, look, stuff just isn't working out for me, and nothing's going right, and and I don't like it. So we start the process with, okay, what would you like instead? And we start to try and define what something different or better would look like. Then we have to step back and start talking about, okay, what's keeping you from having that? And a lot of times it'll be like, well, I can't get a better paying job because I don't have a college degree. Limiting belief, right?
Right.
Or, well, I can't start my own business because, I'm 65, and who starts their own business at 65? I'm too old.
Colonel Sanders did.
Limiting belief, right?
Right.
So, we have to step back and unpack all of those. We have to also then, once we can figure out what those limiting beliefs are, we have to figure out where they come from. Because limiting beliefs, assumptions, interpretations, they have really strong holds on us. So we have to figure out where that got embedded and how, before we can then start to talk about how true is that really, and how true does it have to be, and more importantly, how true do I want it to be? And that's when the real work begins. So we don't spend a lot of time, like when you work with a therapist or a counselor, you spend a lot of time kind of unpacking that past and figuring out, how did you get to be here, this person? Mm-hmm. We take a look at that and we acknowledge the impact that all of that had to getting you to who you are today and the struggle that you're going through. But then we want to know, how do we shift that so that your tomorrow can be something different and better? And that's when we start talking about, how would that look like differently? Who would you have to give yourself permission to be in order for you to achieve that?
I like that idea. I've read some stuff. I think somewhere came across this idea that people drive hanging onto the rear view mirror, try to steer the car with the rear view mirror.
I hadn't heard that, but that's a good analogy. Yeah.
And we do draw upon the past, our past experiences.
Of course.
And I think sometimes you just got to let go of it and go for what you want. And,
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we can really dig around in the past and try to figure out why we're messed up and why we aren't working right. And pretty soon, that's okay for a while. I think pretty soon you just got to start going for what you want and have a vision. Mm-hmm. You talked about the negative beliefs, but I'm sure in your business you've seen people do stuff that they shouldn't be able to do by common interpretation, or maybe they didn't have the degree and they're like, no, we're going to hire you anyway. Mm-hmm. And just get into situations where the rules didn't apply because they were so intent and they were so congruent and their thinking was all in line. Now, do you help kids with this? Do you help directionalize kids and coach their core energy?
It depends on what you define as a kid. Would you put millennials in that category? Yes, I work with millennials, but no, I don't really work with teens or middle school kids. I have worked with a couple of teens in the past, but it's been very special cases where, where the capacity to create the awareness and the consciousness was there. I think all teens have that capacity. Not all of them want to develop it when they're 16.
They're a little
So
bit more in the here and now or something?
they're a little bit more in the me.
Okay.
Yeah, and in order to be able to fully develop that, you have to step outside of that. So, and I don't mean that as a negative comment, it's just hard for kids that age to do that.
Okay, so we kind of talked about getting things and getting jobs and maybe getting a little more money. What happens when you get core coaching for friendships, relationships, for the intangible things, the spirituality, the things that we can't put our hands on, but really we all live for? You know, the money's just to support the really
Right.
important things like our family and things like that. What kind of impact can we have with those kind of things?
Actually, you have more impact with those kinds of things. And a couple of things to say about that. So we like to talk about life coaching or executive coaching or weight loss coaching or, you know, wellness coaching, whatever it is. When we distill all of that, the bottom line is that it's all you coaching. We're not really coaching you about your job. We're not really coaching you about your weight loss. We're not really coaching you about those tangible things. Those tangible things are an issue that you're coming with because of the core of who you are and what you believe about yourself. So in order to be able to hit any one of those things, we have to deal with the you. We have to deal with the self and what your beliefs around that are. And we've all heard the phrases that, you know, things like you have to love yourself first before somebody else can love you.
I hate it when
You have
people
to
say that.
Oh, but it's so right. And this works in the exact same way, that once you start getting yourself right in that, and you're finding your true inner confidence, inner joy, that needle is starting to move, that thermostat is shifting a little bit, the people around you can't help but respond. And that improves all of your relationships, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your business partner, your boss, the person in line at the grocery store. It creates a new way of you experiencing and being in the world that brings more of that positivity back to you.
Right. I think I know the charisma that you're talking about when somebody's just kind of firing on all eight. It's you could never put it into words, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah, and it's not a frenetic energy. It's not those people that you see running around while they're, you know, bagging the groceries and talking on the phone and doing all this stuff. That's a lot of energy going on there. But that's not the kind of energy that we're talking about. And I'm sure you've met these people where there is just this calm sense.
Yeah, like a quiet confidence.
Yeah, almost like they're totally at peace, and whatever it is that they're doing, they're evangelical about it because it's a part of them. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about finding that core inner energy from which we then are able to divine all of these things that we want, our success, our happiness, our health.
This is all very interesting. What other kind of results can we achieve through core energy coaching that we have not talked about?
Oh gosh, well, you know, core energy coaching can help you with so many different things. In a couple of weeks, I'm actually going and giving a talk with a group of credit managers. And, you know, when we talk about people who have to do credit collections, right, there's a lot of negative energy swirling around that.
That would be a really tough
That
gig.
would be a really tough job. So it's really important that they understand what button pushing looks like and how to deal with it. It's really important that they're able to identify what energy they're bringing to that situation, but also what energy that person's bringing so that they can work to diffuse it. So when we talk about things like negotiations, or we talk about things like even in sales or any of those types of things, anything that requires you to deal with another human being can be made better by learning about and understanding energy coaching.
There's probably some room for improvement in the collection business. I can imagine that they could create, I mean, that's just a tough deal.
It is, on both sides.
You're putting
it's
pressure
stressful.
on somebody that's probably at their worst, and it'd be hard to go home feeling great after you did a day's worth of that. But if you got in the right place, you could probably say the right thing to assist somebody, maybe break their pattern and help somebody on the other end of the line do something better in their life. So I could see how that could be helpful. What would you like to say about core energy coaching that we haven't talked about?
Oh gosh. Well, you know, core energy coaching really is about learning and understanding this wonderful and incredibly powerful force that we have in this world that's energy. Nothing exists without it, and it is the driving force that determines everything that happens around us. And I think that learning and understanding that energy is not something that's just in a battery, and it's not something that's just released when you exercise or those sorts of things, but understanding that even right down to the subconscious thoughts that you're not even aware that you're having, it's moving and shifting and impacting energy. So every thought, every emotion, every action carries with it an energetic consequence that pushes out and then pulls in. And so for me, I would like everybody to know and understand about core energy coaching, because even just learning about it for yourself and understanding those concepts and starting to deploy some of the tools that you can use to help you stay pushing out that positive, so that that's what's bringing back to you, can really have powerful impact on everything in your life, from your work to your family to your health to everything.
I see. Does Trish Cody have a coach?
Trish Cody definitely has a coach. Trish Cody has 2 coaches.
How has that helped you? Give us a big win.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sitting here today, so that's one big win.
Well, thanks for the compliment.
Absolutely. No, it's, I have one coach that helps me out with my business, and then I have one coach that helps me out when I feel like my own energy is starting to get a little depleted and I need to get it back to where it is. I need to be in my right thinking about me, and I need to be reminded who I am on an energetic level. So I have a coach that works with me on that, and I have a coach that works with me a little bit more aggressively when I have a tendency to kind of pull back and say, I'm not sure I'm ready for that in my business. Oh, I'm not sure I should. People who have been in business for 7 years do that sort of thing, not me. She asks me why not.
Right.
And we have to work through, okay, so it's not that it's not for somebody like me, it's that I don't, for whatever reason, I have a limiting belief that's telling me that's not who I am. We need to get over that.
How do we get a hold of you? What's your website? What's your contact information?
Thank you. So my website is trishcody.com. That's TRISHCODY.com. My email is just trish@trishcody.com. And my phone number is 402-995-1113.
Thanks for coming on my show. You've been a great guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
My name's Clovis Colley. This show was brought to you by Nebraska Counseling and Hypnosis Center. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again.